You've just joined the Prepper Broadcasting Network, where we promote self-reliance and independence. The views and opinions expressed are strictly those of the host or their guests. Visit us in the interactive chat room at prepperbroadcasting.com.
Tonight's broadcast brought to you in part by Joe and Amy Alton, the authors of the #1 Amazon bestseller, The Doom and Bloom Survival Medicine Handbook. See their articles in Backwoods Home, Survivalist, Self-Reliance Illustrated, and Survival Quarterly magazines. Visit Joe and Amy's website at www.doomandbloom.net.
Good evening, and welcome to Preparing for Life Storms with BexarPrepper. Today is Tuesday, November 27th, 2012, and it's my pleasure to welcome you in tonight. We are on air from 8 to 9 p.m. Central Time, Tuesdays on American Preppers Radio, powered by PrepperBroadcasting.com. We broadcast 12 different hosts 7 days a week. Tomorrow night, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central, Prepping with Goat Hollow. Who will survive the end of the world as we know it? Will the Amish have a better chance? They certainly have a long history of living without all the trappings of our modern society. Join Goat when his guest will be YouTube's Amish Survival Secrets, an Amish gentleman named Willis and his English friend Hari. This should be an interesting show. For those that are listening in, we would love to have you join us in the chat room. Just go to PrepperBroadcasting.com, click on the Listen and Chat at the top of the page, and then sign on in. You can come up with any name you'd like. To the right of the chat room, you'll find where you can sign up for announcements for upcoming shows and important information delivered directly to your email. The first thing I'd like to say tonight is I'd like to thank G-Man for the redoing of the web. It looks fantastic. So everybody, take a few moments sometime tonight and check out all the changes that were made. We're hoping that you like them. And now a word from our sponsors. Okay, maybe not.
This program brought to you in part by Sunrunner. Portable, powerful, clean, silent, rugged, off-grid backup power. A Sunrunner patented renewable energy generator will get you through. Learn more at www.sunrnr.com and find your Prepper dealer.
Okay, so most of you are probably wondering, why is Bear on tonight? Isn't she supposed to be the first and third Tuesdays of the month? Well, unfortunately, I have to be the one to let you guys know that the Crooked Path of Sissy Bob is no longer going to be with us. Unfortunately, due to personal circumstances, she's unable to continue the show at this time. So I know that we all wish her the best, and we will miss her entertaining and informative show. and maybe someday in the future her situation will allow her to return. We wish her the best of luck. So, for the time being, I will be hosting Preparing for Life Storms every Tuesday, and we'll just see how that goes. And if it doesn't kill me, we'll keep going. Okay, so tonight I'm taking on one heck of a topic, RFIDs. Now, the reason I'm taking this on is over the last 6 to 9 months, I have been following a situation occurring in my hometown. And it's really brought it to my attention about RFIDs. Not only has it brought that to my attention, but it's also brought to my attention how the media is distorting things and how things are not truly what they seem to be and how we're all being misled. So I thought I'd really delve into this subject tonight. So let me tell you about what we've got going on. We have a school, 2 schools, a high school and a middle school, that have implemented RFID badges. And so let me start with the letter that they sent home to the kids. Now, imagine you just received this letter from your child's school. And if your kids were anything like mine, if they sent it home with a kid, you never even saw it. So here it is. Dear Jones Middle School parents, welcome back to the new school year. We are looking forward to working with your student every day. So please encourage your students not to miss school. It is important that she be present every day. I want to share some information with you about an exciting new smart student identification card. Northside Independent School and Jones Middle School are committed to keeping your child safe and secure at school. A few years ago, NISD completed a massive technology project that installed digital cameras in all high schools and middle schools, and is now starting the camera project in elementary schools. In addition, school buses have been equipped with digital cameras. Once again, we are looking at technology as a means for increasing safety and security of our students at Jones Middle School. During the 2012-2013 school year, the district will be piloting software that will help us immediately locate students while they are in the school building. The Student Locator Project will be piloted at John Jay High School and John Jay English and Science Engineering Academy, and here at Jones Middle School, and be fully operational by the end of September. The project has several goals and is dependent on a smart student identification card that all students will be required to wear during the school day. This smart ID card will transmit location information of students to electronic readers, which are installed throughout the campus. This is so that we will always know where the students are in the building. After all, you parents, you expect school staff to always know where your children are during the day. The technology called Radio Frequency Identification, RFID for short, will help us meet the challenge of finding your student among the 1,100 students here at Jones. Think how important this will be in the case of an emergency. In addition, the Smart ID card will be used in the breakfast and lunch lines in the cafeteria and to check out books from the library. Because all students will be required to wear their Smart ID, staff will be able to quickly identify Jones students inside the school. It will help us keep non-students out of middle school. We want to assure you that the Smart ID cards store no personal information, and the Smart ID card does not work outside of the school. Remember that statement, folks. One additional feature of the new Smart ID card is that Jones attendance office staff will be able to manage attendance reporting more efficiently. By reporting increased attendance to the state, Jones Middle School will be eligible for additional funding. Jones will continue with the traditional attendance taking procedures while the pilot project is in place. To ensure 100% implementation of the new student locator system, we are asking that you talk to your children and impress upon them the importance of this project. Please encourage your students to wear their Smart IDs all day, every day at school, and discourage students from leaving, forgetting, or exchanging tags. A replacement fee will be charged if the Smart ID is lost. We look forward to working with you and your student on this project, which we believe will increase student safety as well as generate some additional funds for Jones Smith School. We will periodically seek your feedback throughout the year. A website has been set up, and we will post more information there as it becomes available. It is located at www.nisd.net, Student Locator. We have posted a frequently asked questions section on the website, but please feel free to call me if you have any additional questions. Okay, several things become apparent when reading this letter. First, like always, they're creating a positive spin on the RFID badges for your child's safety. Now, what parent in their right mind doesn't want their child to be safe at school? So there is a student at John Jay High School who is refusing to wear the badge. She's now facing expulsion for taking the stand. And it's really interesting because a petition was sent around John Jay High School, and over 700 signatures were collected in order to stop the RFID badges. Now, in a rather backhanded offer, the school suggested that Ms. Hernandez be discreetly given a chipless lanyard, but only on the proviso that she outwardly supports the program. Her father's response was, "My daughter is not going to wear a symbol of your program so that she can put a pretty face on it." I commend him for that. So the school, in order to stop the petitions and get the kids from not fighting it, they started giving random drawings of $5 gift cards for those that were caught with their badges on. And the high school class, the senior high school class that had the most badges, it's a pizza party at the end of the show or at the end of the year. So, it officially launched in October. And you can't go into the cafeteria. You can't get lunch. You cannot purchase tickets for extracurricular activities if you don't have your badge. And so, it's been forced upon them. So, of course, it's gone to court. And their attorney, he's the president of the Ruppert Institute, says that the judge has given a temporary restraining order, and that normally, and if you know anything about legal issues, normally if the judge gives a temporary restraining order in favor, that means that's the way they're leaning. So it's really good that at least the judge has seen that. Now, the constitutional argument on allowing RFID badges and not, the ACLU supported a group in California, the schools in California, when they were going to implement this, and they supported them on the ground that it was against our constitutional right. Well, the ACLU is refusing to support Ms. Hernandez. And the reason they're refusing to support Ms. Hernandez is because Ms. Hernandez is standing up on the grounds of religious freedom. She does believe that the RFID chip is the beginning of the mark of the beast. And so it pains her to even think about wearing it. So, of course, the ACLU will not support her or help her in any way because it is not, constitutional. So it's really interesting. They talk about putting these RFID chips on the kids for their safety. I mean, that's their big pull in this. And through research and through finding out the truth and talking to other people and following the school's own records, you find that that's not the case. So what I did was I decided to follow the money. Okay? So just bear with me for a minute because this is important because this is going to lead us into everything else that's going on with the RFID chips. So the district is saying that they are going to gain as much as $175,000 daily because of low attendance figures. All right, now most of you know if you have kids how the attendance works. If your kid shows up at 8:20, by 8:20, he's counted as attendance, yes, he's there. He shows up at 8:25, attendance, no, and they get no money for the whole year. Now, it makes no sense because they usually get a tardy slip. If they add in the tardy slips, okay, great, you get the money. So what they're saying they're doing with these chips is they're taking the attendance at 8:20. Any student that shows is not there, they activate their number on a screen, and if they show up at any time during the day, they then can turn around and mark them as being there. So they're saying that they get $175,000 more a day for doing that. Well, the cost of the program is $25,000 per school, and it's $136,000 to run this program and maintain the data. Okay, you notice I said maintain the data. Yes, the data is maintained. It's not stored anywhere. It's stored, it's logged, it's saved forever. So they're saying they're going to get $1.7 million a year. Okay, doesn't make sense. So let's dig further. Let's find out from the school board, from the district bean counters, what is the actual truth. So when you get down to the district bean counters, you find out they're actually only going to gain about $250,000 a year on attendance for the regular students. And here's where it gets my backbone up. They're going to be collecting $1.2 million from Medicaid. Yeah, you know why? Because they're tracking special needs kids. And so that is where all this money is coming from. It has nothing to do with the safety and security of our children. It has everything to do with federal welfare, you know. And they're saying that they chose these schools. How did they choose them? They chose them because their attendance was low. No, I'm sorry. I used to live right behind John Jay High School. I know the neighborhood. It is not the greatest neighborhood in the world. It is a low-income, Section 8, government subsidies neighborhood. So and I'm not saying that all, you know, I've said this before, that everybody that's on government assistance is bad or anything, but people on government assistance, the majority, are not informed individuals. They probably don't even read the papers, and here in Texas, they probably can't read them half the time. Most of them don't know how to read. My neighbors had 5 kids, one of them in school, and didn't speak a word of English and didn't read in Spanish or English. And so if her kids didn't tell her what it was about, she had no clue. So, and these were my neighbors. These are the kids that are going to that school. So I think they chose it more on who would object and who wouldn't, based on the student body. And so they chose the schools that would be least likely to raise a ruckus. Yeah, just crazy. And you're right. Texas has a state Medicare program for welfare children. Yes, they do. Of course they do. They make big money. You know, someone close to me was special needs, and it was all about the money. And it was all about, you know, waiving everything so they could collect the bucks. Because if they didn't waive the tax test, then they didn't get the money for this person every year, and it was more important to get the money, so they would waive every test and just slide the person through every year. So, you know, there are other districts. Houston is another one that also has the RFIDs, and they have it at Spring, Santa Fe, and another school, and they're saying there's no opposition, which really surprises me. Now, this story gets even bigger. Anonymous was said to have taken down the school's website. Well, the person who took down the website is now saying they are not associated with Anonymous. But if you follow Anonymous on YouTube, they released a video about how anonymous is everybody. It is not just those that belong to a group. Anybody and everybody is anonymous. And Lubowski, yes, it is statewide. There is for the Medicare, Medicaid, and I'm sure that was the question. I'm kind of bouncing back and forth here. So he said that he wanted them. He went and took their website down on Saturday and then took it down again on Sunday. And he talked to Ken's 5 News, and they said, well, how do we know that you're the one taking it down? He said, okay, we'll log into the site. So he logged into the site. He said, okay, now refresh and try to get into the site. Well, the Ken's News guy couldn't get back into the site. He waited 5 minutes. He said, okay, now log back into the site again. And he could get back in. So, yes, this guy did take it down. He was a 16-year-old male is what he said he was. His handle, I guess you want to say, is PR1XXYANON. And he has demanded that he wants a meeting with all the parents, and he wants proof that this meeting has occurred. And they've got 1 to 3 days to comply, so we should see something by Wednesday, I guess. And if nothing happens, he's going to take the website down again. And I don't think he's going to bring it back up this time. I think it's going to be rather interesting. So, but he does say he's not with Anonymous. So, we're moving to an area where once you say it's okay to put it in a badge, where does that stop? At what point can we turn around and say, oh, well, no, we can't have that? They're trying to cover their butts now, excuse my French, because they're finding that, and I'm trying to look through my notes to make sure I state it right, that these RFID chips in animals, it's causing cancer. And so, they're getting ready to do a test on whether or not it is causing the cancer in animals. Well, I'm sorry, I believe it is. Here it is, VeriChip. They're going to do a independent study to determine if there's a correlation between the implant and cancer. As of September 27, 2007, approximately 2,000 humans have an RFID implant. The largest producer of these chips hopes there will be a market as large as 45 million Americans. And the reason that is important, there is a new program that's coming into play, and that is going to be in the state of New Jersey. And has anyone there heard about that? What they're getting ready to do in New Jersey? Yeah, we're on our way, folks. State of New Jersey had awarded Radiant RFID a 5-year contract to provide its RFID-based solution to assist evacuation and emergency tracking during catastrophic events. Radiant will provide the Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness, OHSP, with a managed evacuation solution that tracks evacuees, pets, emergency transport vehicles, and commodities deployed at state shelters in preparation for and in the event of a hurricane, natural disaster, or other incident to assist in the reunification of families. Radiant Emergency Management Solution uses RFID technology to assist emergency management teams with large-scale evacuations by making the continuous movement of people, pets, and assets easy to track without repeatedly stopping people to take their name or scan a barcode. The seamless tracking helps eliminate lines, reduce redundancy, and keep families together in a time of emergency. In addition, Radiant will manage hardware components, deployment processes, and training, as well as maintenance and management functions in support of the state of New Jersey. Interesting, huh? Folks, if you want to call on in, I'm at the point where I could handle phone calls, and the phone number is Oh, boy, G-Man, you may have to put that in the chat room for me, and I'm going to scroll up and find that number. It is 347-202-0228, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on this matter. Yeah, it's that's right. It's Cotton Tree Man. That way they can put them all on the same train. We are on the road, folks, you know, and you think that this is a good thing that's happening for our children, but it really has some long-term ramifications in it. It actually opens the door, because once you allow them to do this and say this is okay, how can you then turn around and say, no, it's not okay, because you want to implant them in everybody? How can you do that? You've already said it was okay for them to track you. You've already said it's okay for them to track your kids. You've already conditioned your kids that cameras everywhere they go are okay. In one of the schools, it was really interesting. They had the RFIDs right at the bathrooms. Why did they need them at the bathrooms? They have since taken them down because parents had a fit. But are you kidding me? You know, some schools did it the smart way. They actually only use the RFID cards for their visitors. Track where your visitors are. Well, that to me makes a little more sense, even though I like absolutely none of it. It's just really crazy on what is going on. Now, what else are they using RFIDs for? I was really shocked at some of the things they're using RFIDs for. Houston, they launched a monitoring program as early as 2004 and a federally funded preschool in California and started placing RFID chips in children's clothing 2 years ago. Numerous districts have also considered similar programs, but the key word is they don't make it mandatory. Georgia high school football teams put RFIDs into their play in their helmets to monitor for heat stroke in 2009. New York, what better? I love the way New York spends our money. Yes, it's our money, folks. We pay the taxes. The government doesn't make money. We make the money. We are forced to give it to the government, and this is how they spend it. I love New York. They offer free Nikes. Yeah. And a wake up to New York with celebrities calling them to encourage attendance. Isn't that nice how they spend their money? Just love it. Just love it. Yeah, and they get a phone call in the morning to say, you know you're late. Wake up. Imagine how much money that costs. Yeah, that's our money, folks. Love how they're spending it. Looks like we got Trucker Warren in queue. Hey, Trucker, what's up tonight?
Hey, not much. How you doing there, Bear?
I'm doing great. It's good to hear from you. So what you got going tonight?
Well, I just finished doing some canning and was looking forward to listening to your show. I've been getting emails from you, but this is the first chance I've had to listen to it.
Well, I'm glad to have you tonight. So what do you think of this subject and what you got to add?
Well, I've got a lot to say about it, but we don't have a lot of time for it. But, you know, I'm a Christian guy, but I'm not going to force my opinions on anybody. But if you are a Christian, that is definitely the mark of the beast as far as I'm concerned. I mean, this has been a long time coming because eventually, you know, I feel that they're going to do away with we're going to end up being a cashless society. So that's the mark. Everything's going to be put on your number. And then if you upset the government or go against the grain, I mean, you cease to exist. They erase your number. You don't have any money to buy fuel, food, anything like that. I think it's inevitable. I mean, I'm all for the resistance and pushing against this and not letting it happen. Every step they take is a step closer, so the more we could resist, you know, letting our children have it in a badge or in their helmet so they can, you know, monitor their temperature, or in our pets. I have a new puppy. She's 11 weeks old, but I don't, I'm not going to chip her either. The more we resist against that, we're just pushing it off. It's going to eventually happen, but we need to resist this as much as possible.
And I agree with you 100%. It's really interesting because the European Union, they've already got plans for all of this to go into effect for everybody in the European Union. They are all going to be chipped in one way or another, whether it is a badge they have to wear or whether it is implanted. And so that's where we're all heading, because they're trying to make it, I'm sorry to say, but the one world order. And so
right.
You're right. The more we can delay it, the better it is for us. I mean, it's going to happen. Because I am also Christian, and I'm sorry, I do also believe that it is going to happen. But I don't want it to happen on my watch.
I agree with you 100%. And also, by starting with our children like that, what they're doing is they're programming our children to believe that that's okay. Most of our children nowadays, they don't know, anything other than the internet. They've been raised in a world with the internet. And, you and I both remember a time when there was no internet. We went outside and played during the day. Our parents yelled for us down the street. We were out riding our bicycles or playing with the neighbors. That's just not the case anymore. So they're conditioning our children with this to accept that that's okay. And I mean, it sure sounds good. I mean, it's more efficient. Yeah, you can keep track of our children. I mean, that's awesome that they could do that. But where is this really leading us? And I believe what you said, and that's not even getting to the funding part of the whole thing. But where is that leading us?
Right, and you're absolutely right. And I thank you so much for calling in, and I agree with you 100%. This is a slippery slope that we're heading to, folks, and it's one that we've got to stay awake on, and we've got to be aware on, because that's how Hitler did it. What he did was he bypassed the parents, and he took the children, and he indoctrinated the children. And through the children, they became the ones to point the finger and turn in their own parents. So, this is indoctrination going on. And, another interesting point that I bet most of you didn't know, a lot of you, maybe my group of people here, you all know there's no difference between Republican and Democrat. Yeah, there really is not. I got an interesting tidbit for you that, and I'm just going to read it to you, because it just really blew me away. The Guardian RFID correction system, in partnership with Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office in Tampa, Florida, unveiled the RFID arrestee management system to accelerate the speed and accuracy with which arrestees are captured, identified, and managed from the point of arrest to release. Law enforcement officers can outfit a suspect with an RFID wristband and capture a wide range of data about each individual using a rugged mobile computer equipped with an integrated RFID reader, including a photograph, personal demographic, and arresting information, property information, and more. All relevant data, including transport activities, welfare checks, and detainee requests, are automatically synchronized in real time and made instantly accessible via web-based software, so that the command staff could securely monitor operational performance in any location and any device at any time. The arrestee management system was developed in preparation, okay, here it comes, folks. Are you ready? For the Republican National Convention held in August. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, in coordination with the Tampa Police Department, deployed the system throughout the city. How many of you knew that?
Mm-hmm.
It's just absolutely amazing the things that you're doing. So, well, Tucker, thank you so much for calling in, and I hope you keep adding to the conversation on chat.
Well, I'm definitely listening to you, and I've been following you for quite some time, but I do appreciate that you opened up this avenue for us to voice our opinion and share our opinions as well. Thank you.
Well, you're quite welcome, and thank you for calling. Yeah, folks, this is kind of out of my norm. I try to keep a very positive spin on what I do, but every now and then there is something that is just so alarming to me that I have to bring it up. I have to fight that fight and bring this forward. So, you know, someone in the chat room, and I can't remember who it was, I think it was guest somebody, talked about the Obamacare. Okay. Part of my background, and most of you don't know this, I was in the legal department and risk management of a hospital for about 10 years. So when H.R. 3200 came out, of course, I read that from cover to cover, and I understood probably about 90% of it because of the legalese and the bouncing back and forth. Now, a lot of what some of you don't know is H.R. 3200, which had the RFID microchipping in it, did not pass. So because there was such an uproar on it. So then they created H.R. 3962. Now, H.R. 3962 talks about medical devices. Now, in risk management, one of the things we do is we manage the medical devices for risk issues. If someone was to die and we have to, or someone was hurt, or someone was killed and they wanted to track somebody, part of our job was to make sure these medical devices were registered with the state. So when they're talking medical devices, they are not talking RFID chips. They are actually talking medical devices, pacemakers, screws, that kind of stuff. So those are the kind of things, if someone has a port implanted, that's a medical device. So that is totally different. So please, this is not in Obamacare. So don't go there. Don't worry about that. At this moment in time, it is not there. That is not to say that it's not going to show up in an executive order at some point. I think the only thing that's going to save us for that is the cancer I can never say that word. You know what I mean. But I think that is going to hold them off in it for a long while because they're going to have to run a 2 to 5 year study to determine whether or not it causes cancer. The only thing is the clock was already rolling because they already have implants in 2,000 people. So they've already been trending them and following them and seeing how the implants react. And I guess they've probably got, 3 years on those 2,000 people now? So, they only need a couple more years to prove it, whether it is or it isn't. And those of you that have implants in your dog, we're preppers. We're preppers. I think it's great you want to find your dog. You love your dog so very much. But if SHTF were to happen, your dog's coming with you. Okay, so how hard is it to find you? They have satellites that can read RFID. I mean, I was in the military. I worked on RC-135s, and I can't go in to what we could see, but I can tell you I could see a pimple on your face. So, if you really think that they can't find you, cell phones, RFID. SHTF happens, you better not let a cell phone within 10 miles of your retreat location because you've just given it all up. Now, there are simple ways to take out an RFID, put it in the microwave for 20 seconds, and you render it useless, but you don't melt the badge. But I didn't say do that. If you want to call into the show, it's 347-202-0228. I'm going to take a moment now, and we're going to get a word from our sponsor.
Are you storing food? Prepared families are storing food for months and years, but only have enough fuel stored for days or weeks. Stretch your fuel storage by harnessing the power of the sun with the Sun Oven. Foods can be baked, boiled, or steamed at temperatures of 360 to 400 degrees with the power of the sun. You can use the sun for 50 to 80% of your cooking, allowing you to preserve your fuel storage for rainy days. Sun-baked foods stay moister and have less shrinkage and do not burn. Sun-baked roasts are tastier and more succulent, and sun-baked bread has unparalleled taste and texture. Water can be heated in the sun oven for purification or personal hygiene. For the past 26 years, sun ovens have been proudly made in the USA. They are durable, have a long life, and come with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Don't be fooled by cheap imitations. For a discount coupon, visit sunoven.com/PreppersRadio. That's www.sunoven.com/PreppersRadio.
Okay, folks. Now, I also found some polls out there, and I'm just so floored how ill-informed our nation is. I just can't get over it. 40% of the people responding were for the RFIDs and 60% against. I would think it would be 20-80, but I guess people just don't understand what implications it has. See, there's that word again that I just can't say. Ban of RFIDs. Now, I was pleased to be able to offer you these bans from states, and sadly enough, Texas does not have one. Okay, in Texas, I'm sorry, all the Californians are moving here. We're watching our state turn overnight into something we don't recognize. Everything that failed in California, they're bringing here, and they're getting it passed. I don't know what's going on. But so, folks, I wouldn't say Texas is the greatest place anymore. I wish I could, but it saddens me on a daily basis, the things I see them doing. Okay, Wisconsin. Yay, Wisconsin. It was the first state to ban required human RFID chipping. Yeah, it's banned as of May of 2006. No person may require an individual to undergo the implanting of a microchip. Okay, they're not the only one. In 2007, yay, North Dakota, they passed a ban on requiring implants in individuals. The law actually states that a person may not require that an individual have inserted into that individual's body a microchip containing a radio frequency identification device. And believe it or not, California Senator Joe Simonton introduced the bill in December 2006, focusing on 4 measures: prohibiting an employer from implanting chips in workers, blocking RFID technology from being embedded in driver's licenses, prohibiting schools from issuing ID cards to track students' attendance, and making it a misdemeanor to skim ID cards. Nice. That came into law in October of 2007. So, way to go, Senator Simonton. That's just awesome. But unfortunately, that's about all I found. I just don't know what to say. You know, RFIDs can be useful in so many things. They use them on trains. They use them on ships to track orders. They use them in clothing stores to track theft and, you know, all that. So there's a place for them. People are not the place, at least in my view. Man, it's just, we're not property. We shouldn't be followed. We shouldn't. No, it's nobody's right to know where my child is except me. You know, if I want to put the tracking device on my kid's phone so that I can go on the internet and track them, at one point I thought about doing that. I really did. I went there, I thought, and I said, you know what? What kind of parent am I that I didn't raise my kids right enough that I know where they're at, that I have to track them? You know, same with these tracking devices or RFIDs. Who are they to decide where I should be allowed to go and what I should be allowed to do? I know that's like credit cards. Everyone's saying, well, you shouldn't have credit cards. Well, not everyone here, but on the internet because of the RFID. So if you're so against RFIDs, don't have a debit card, don't have a credit card. Well, folks, all you have to do, because I do it for every single one of my cards, I really do. When I get a new card in and I flip that bad boy over and it says blink, or it has those half circles, 3 or 4 of them to the right, I call the credit card company up and say, no, you need to send me one without RFID, or you need to close my account now. And they always send me one without RFID in it. You just got to take the time. And the more people that would actually do that, it would stop them from proceeding further. But we all sit complacent. We complain and we whine and, we talk about it, but we don't do anything. And that's the problem. You have to stand up for something. It's like Baker's Green Acres. I am so proud of him. I'll be releasing a video tomorrow. The judge responded, and he did not win this battle, but the war is not over. But I commend him for fighting this fight. He's fighting it for just a few people. I think he only has 3 Russian boar breeders that he started with. And, but he's fighting this fight for everyone. It's different, but it's still fighting the fight. I can't believe nobody's calling in. The show's almost over. And I just got Trucker. Hey, Trucker, so glad to have you. Give us a call. Phone number is 347-202-0228. Hey, I remembered it. Woo! But, yeah, so what else we got going here? We've got, there's a couple more places that I was surprised to find out what they're doing with them. Let's see. Strong Rock School in Georgia. A lot of people are referencing that they've been doing it, and that's the one school that actually does the tags for the visitors and not for the students. So this court case that's going on with Ms. Hernandez, she's waiting to hear, and like I said, they should know by Wednesday. I don't think there's any way they can force her to wear this. They cannot make it mandatory for the simple fact that it is not being done for her protection. It is strictly being done for financial reasons. I don't care how many times they say it. It's not being done for her protection. So, it's just crazy. And, they talk about how it only is recorded within the school, and that's a huge lie, because they have the monitor on the special ed buses. And that's what got me. It just really, really got me because of the fact that these are the least of us. These are the ones that need the most from us. And these are the ones that they're collecting the most money on. And that just really ticks me off, because when you need the help, you don't get it. But they get it. At one point in time when I first left my husband, I was making $8 an hour. I hadn't worked for 10 years, and I took the first job I could get because I was now a single mom with 2 young children. And for the first time in my life, I broke down and accepted reduced price lunches. Yeah, not free. I was making $8 an hour, working 8 hours a day, and I had reduced price lunches. I accepted that for 3 months, and then I tried to cancel it. Oh, my goodness. My daughter would show up with the check, and they would refuse the check. My daughter would put in, or my son would put in their code for lunch, and the lunch lady went, no, don't do that. Cancel it. Because you know what? If they get reduced price lunches, they actually make more money than what they make from the kids that pay for their lunch. Yeah, they do. I fought and fought and fought. It took me 7 months into the school year to get them to stop doing it. And the only reason they stopped is because I wrote a letter to my senator. And I said, this is what you do with our taxpayer money? When someone is asking not to receive and you insist that they receive, what kind of state do we have here? And next thing you know, oh, yes, we'll take your check now, bear what? Oh, G isn't cute. Sorry, G, I'm on a roll. Hey, G, welcome to the show.
Well, hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Sorry, I was yakking away.
Oh, no, I was enjoying it. I love when you yak. That's why I tune in.
So what's up with you tonight and what you got to say about RFID?
Well, I was actually going to talk about those lunches. Those lunches are the $300 hammer. It's a shame how people or institutions do what they can to make all the money when it's really all about feeding the kids. But, I was kind of thinking, this country was started by people who wanted freedom. They wanted a place to call their own. They wanted to be their own person. It was indentured servants. It was people who had no money, had no chance where they were. Some people were sending their kids on boats just to come to the promised land to live free and be able to be their own person and to make something of themselves. I mean, we've all heard of the American dream. Mom and Dad always said, work really hard, do what you're supposed to do, and you'll live a good life. You'll be the good person that we want you to be, and you'll have a better life than we'll even have. And what are we being reduced to? We've seen this happen. We've seen countries just taken down, disarmed, and divided and conquered. And this is supposed to be the greatest country in the world, and look what we're being reduced to. Security cameras everywhere, chips in our children. What next? There is only so much that we need. We are not children. We are not children. We get up every day to go do our jobs. We take care of our own. We do not need to be monitored. What's next? Leashes? I mean, it's just silly. It really ticks me off. That I don't need somebody to watch me at all times. I do not want you to know when I get dressed, undressed, take a bath, and do whatever else I do in the privacy of my own home. You don't need to know if I'm in my kitchen or in my bedroom or where I am. If it's a country of freedom, then the country should allow its people to be people. That's why we have elections, so we can make our own free choices. This is just taking away our freedom.
You're so right, G, and I thank you for voicing that, and thank you for calling in. At some point we have to put our foot down and do something. Hey, it looks like we have Elizabeth in queue. Hey, Elizabeth, what you got to say tonight?
Hey, I was just going to say, I did that when I first moved from Texas to Oklahoma about the reduced lunches. And when we got that, as soon as that started, all of a sudden, they were telling me that my children now needed special ed. And just because my daughter did bad on a couple of tests, and what I think it was is they really just wanted the money from the kids. And then we pulled my daughter and my son out, and we homeschool now. But I don't know why all of a sudden they see that with kids. And then when my daughter was in middle school last year, they wanted her to carry her ID on her at all times, even if she wasn't at school. And so before we did that, we put her ID out on our back porch. And so they couldn't, I guess they wanted to track her somehow. I don't know if the chip was in there, but I thought it was crazy.
Oh, well, thank you. Hey, Elizabeth, I'm going to have to ask you to hang up. We've got a huge echo going on here. But
I'm sorry.
That's okay. And thank you for calling.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. You're absolutely right. They're putting these chips in these badges, and they aren't telling people. And yes, okay, Pat has a question and says, can you explain how they can follow us? Because someone said the chips aren't GPS. In the animals. They are GPS. They are. How else do they locate them? Now, they're GPS in a different way. They have to come in contact with an RFID monitor, okay? It's got to be in a monitor. Now, they have a contract for most of the implants for animals that tie up to a satellite and tie up to local organizations, so when the animal passes the area, they can track them and find them. Now, yes, you're right. Usually what they do is they take the little RFID thing and they hold it over the back of the animal and scan it. But, they're exactly the same thing. They are exactly. Now, all these cameras that are being placed throughout our city, are they just cameras? I know Texas has gone, at least my area, we've gone through a massive addition of cameras. And I guarantee there's monitoring in them. And we're just not being told everything there is, because there's things I know that nobody else knows that's out there. So, you know, it's a slippery slope, folks. It really is. And you've got to, at some point we have to stand up. At some point we have to fight the little things, because if we just let the little things go, eventually it's going to be so out of control that we're going to be losing everything. And before you know it, what Christians fear the most, for those that believe in Revelations, that it is literal and not an interpretation, then you're going to find that that is where you're at. So let's talk about what show we're going to have next week. Next week it's going to be economic collapse has come, and we're off to our retreats with all our pets in tow. So now what do? Do you know how to take care of your pets? What should we have on hand to ensure our pets, which are now becoming alert dogs, be taken care of? And how do we do it? Join BexarPrepper and Pet Prepper. Hey, Pet, see you in the chat room. That will walk us through the appropriate tools and skills to keep us prepared in case of SHTF. Just because we're in the middle of a crisis doesn't mean that we forget the obligations we made when we brought our pet best friends home to our houses. And the answer doesn't lie in letting them fend for themselves. So we hope to see you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Time with Pat. You know, it would even be kinder to put your pets to sleep than to let them be out in the middle of nowhere and trying to survive on their own. So please, you know, make preparations for your pets and don't leave them hanging. You know, they're part of your family. You asked for them, you brought them in, you take care of them. And also, I just want to remind you, Pat is not a veterinarian, so please let's try to not do a lot of veterinarian questions for her. There are some things she can advise you of, and others that she would rather not. You know, if at some point she can advise you simply that if SHTF were to happen, I think there's some things that she can tell you, but otherwise we're going to stop that. So let me end the night with a couple of quotes, because we're down to 2 minutes. Experience should teach us to be the most on guard to protect liberty when the government's purposes are beneficial. Men born to freedom are naturally alert to repel invasion of their liberty by evil-minded rulers. The greatest danger to liberty lurks in insidious encroachment by men of zeal, well-meaning, but without understanding. Justice Louis V. Gradius. A government big enough to give you everything you want is a government big enough to take from you everything you have. Gerald Ford. So, folks, get ready. The taking from your income will begin in earnest starting January 2013, and I'm not kidding you. So you can find more from me on YouTube and on Facebook, also here every Tuesday. Thank you for spending your valuable time with me. Good night and blessings.